Welcome to the Luxury Code, where we decode the mindset, the marketing, and the business approach of successful luxury brokers.
So everybody wants to raise their sales price. Who doesn't want to sell big, expensive houses? The allure of multi-million-dollar sales, 5- and 6-figure checks. I mean, my goodness, fancy houses, exotic cars, extraordinary clients. It all sounds like a dream come true. Today, we're going to unpack the real deal of all of that on the Luxury Code with my guy, Marc Hernandez. Marc, how are you, brother? Tell me some good news.
Tom, it's so great to see you. I'm so fired up about being here. I was just thinking about it on the way over that it was 5 years ago that I was at a summit and you invited a bunch of us in for a lunch and learn.
Yep.
And one of my buddies and I were there. We said, let's go check it out. We did it. I've been elite ever since. My business is 10x from the first year and I'm just having a great time and something is calling me. I got to turn that off. Okay. All right. We're back.
It's all good, brother. It's all good. But Marc, your story is so many stories that, we talk to these great agents that They made the difference to get committed to something. And when you look at your success, a lot of it is your commitment towards branding, towards marketing, towards networking, towards, getting a little out of the box. And I want to explore all of that today. But give people context first. Tell them where you work, give them the size of your team. What's the goal for this year?
So yeah, I'm with Compass Beverly Hills. I run a team called the Marc Hernandez Group at Compass. We've got 6 agents. We have a director of operations. We have a transaction coordinator, and we have yours truly at the helm. I started 5 years ago in the business. I started with a little company here, a boutique called Telus Properties. You remember Telus?
Of course.
They were acquired by Douglas Elliman, and then that eventually led me to Compass. It's kind of my second time around in real estate, Tom. The first time was right out of USC, Orange County. A lot of my buddies' dads were developers at the Cole Company and the Irvine Company.
Yep.
And so I got into commercial real estate brokerage, high-rise office building leasing, eventually then pivoted from there into real estate management, went to work for the Sagerstrom family.
Sure. At
South Coast Plaza. I managed, Center Tower where the Center Club is.
Of course.
So that was my first building that I managed. I was 28 years old. And I was having lunches with people down at the Center Club that were like 50 and heads of accounting firms and law firms, and really taught me how to communicate with people that were of higher like socioeconomic status than me and be professional and be a manager or a leader. So now I'm real quickly. So now I'm in real estate, having gone through entertainment, right? So I left South Coast Plaza, went to work in the mailroom at United Talent Agency. I went from like 6 figures to $350 a week overnight.
Yes.
My suits got shiny. I didn't have any money to buy my girlfriend, who's now my wife, dinners. And but it was the best thing I've ever done. I learned how to, finance, produce, distribute movies. We represented screenwriters, directors, talent. And that's really, I think, where I learned my hustle on how to get things done. Because if you don't get it done as an assistant in Hollywood, you're canned. There's a line out the door waiting for your desk, if you will. So anyway, that's it. Commercial real estate, entertainment. And I went to work for Fox. And led a national digital ad sales team there, 13 sellers, coast to coast, selling to Fortune 1000 brands, television, network, and mobile sponsorships and campaigns, and traveled all over the country, built my sphere that way with a lot of these advertising agencies and brands. And that's how I got here.
So why did you go into, you were going down a very interesting path. Why did you then go into residential real estate in Beverly Hills?
Well, I was packaged out. It was the 14th season of American Idol, and ratings were starting to drop, right? And so when ratings drop, revenue drops, and they looked at about 25% of the workforce. They looked at the people that were making the most money, and they gave us all handsome checks and took very good care of us, as a company like Fox would. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I at that point I said, I'm done working for the man. I'm going to work for this man. Right. And I became an entrepreneur at that point.
Right. So how many total years now on the residential side? Has it just been the 5 years? So yeah. So you come to this event, and I know all the cast of characters that were with us at that summit. You make the decision to become one of our clients. What happened next?
So at that point, I signed up. and I immediately started ingesting the content. I was I still am a big, Tom Ferry fan. I think I stopped at about episode 108, but I still go back, but I think I have all the notes in bullet point form from episode 1 of the Tom Ferry Show through episode 108. And I've gone back and listened to them time and time again. And I tell other people to check them out. But, I really highly leaned in to coaching. Yes. And I realized very quickly that, the best performers, whether it's athletes or musicians or vocalists or whatnot, they all have coaches, right? And if you're going to do coaching, you can't do it kind of, half baked. You have to really lean in and be coachable and say, I'll do it. And I'm telling you, it's taken my business from, 177 GCI year 1 to like 9X that last year. So it works.
Right. And this year, you've got some ambitious goals of $175 million in volume, and that's a lot of GCI. So we can unpack some of the team building stuff, but I think today we really should focus on what I observed from afar until you and I got to know each other better was watching your brand unfold, watching this look, this style, this aesthetic, there was just a coolness factor that was coming out. And I'm just curious, could you unpack for us the sort of the brand journey and what you learned along the way and why it mattered?
Absolutely. So when I first started, I started taking notes of all the other social media accounts and marketing that was going on. And I knew that for me to stand out, I had to be a little noisy, right? I had to be a little different. I had to be like the Uncola, right? So I saw all these people posting pictures of homes over and over and over. And I thought, I don't know anything about that person, right? And there's nothing about that social media account that makes me say, I need to call this person because I want to work with them. Yeah. And I often tell people, like people that I mentor, I say, like, if you had a pizza store, would you put pies on every like thumbnail? Because I just want to right. It would be horrible, right? You got to tell the story. Where do I get my dough? Who's the hostess? Check out this oven. So I came at it from the approach of, let's pretend I'm an editor of a really cool magazine. And this is going to be, it's not going to be Vanity Fair. It's not going to be People. It's not going to be LA. It's going to be the Magazine of Marc, right? And so what is Marc like? Marc likes his family. Marc likes his music big time. By the way, I saw you checking out the Descendants over the weekend. Oh, yeah. Manhattan Beach band. Yep. So music, I love travel, art, and of course, real estate. You have to pepper that in like 20% of the time or they won't know that you're a real estate agent. Right. I also said you have to be noisy and let them know when you have a win. Right. So I developed my what I call my deal cards. It's an image of me. It's got a black overlay. It's got a little branding and it's like, sold. Right. So that's, instead of sending a sold postcard, I do it on the web and get it onto LinkedIn, Facebook Business, Instagram, and I get way more reach and engagement that way. Right. By doing it. Right. And then I also thought, and you can't just say sold, you have to tell the story. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, we represented these first-time buyers. They were very afraid of the multiple offer scenario. They didn't want to get into a bidding war. We went up against 15 buyers. We put together the best terms. We came in like really hot with the listing agent, and we walked away with the escrow and handed them the keys. Yeah. And people love to hear those stories. So I continue to do that. And this year, the thing that I'm working with Dave, my coach, on, and please hold me to it as well. It's just time. It's time for me to layer in the video. Right. In the beginning, I was like everybody else. Oh gosh, I can't say my hair's not right because I don't have any hair. But anyway, in the beginning, it was like, oh, I don't know how I look on screen. Yeah. But once I started going out and remember my series on Instagram, Searching for LA? Yep. Right. So I'd go to different neighborhoods. I'd take shots about it, with a really cool building or a restaurant. And I'd be kind of down in the bottom, but I'd still be looking at the camera. And I developed some camera chops that way. So now it's not about how I feel in front of the camera. It's just the content. I want just like you said with my marketing, it's kind of cool. I want my video to be cool too. I don't want it to be just mundane.
So, what's interesting? I was you're talking about Descendants, and then, for a hot second, my son had on the Dogtown documentary. So speaking of LA, right?
Dogtown and Z-Boys.
Right, and Z-Boys, right? And the first time I saw one of your ads, I was like, that's like when Tony Alva just stood there with his hat on.
Tony Alva.
And his
right?
board, and the entire industry of skate was like, what? Like, what is this? Like, it felt like that kind of splash. I was like, Mark did a good job
Tony Alva
standing
was my
out.
hero.
Yeah, you love
he
that.
Was my hero. We used to go skate pools and do all that, and we wanted to be like Tony. We wanted to have the high socks and the Vans slip-ons and the whole thing. Hey, by the way, did you see my pillow?
I can see it in the background. So the people that are listening only.
Okay, so it's a pillow, and here's what it reads. It says the hip, the hop, the hippie to the hip. Hip, hip, hop, bang, bang, boogie. I'm jumping the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat.
That was pretty good. I think you've sang that song a few times. So
I think I messed it up.
No, you did good. So I love it because I think authentically, you know who you are, right? So you put yourself out there in a way to be recognized. Because let's face it, like LA real estate is noisy, and there's a lot of competition. So do you feel your strategy worked, and would you recommend it for others? What about the person that's, in Miami or New York or in, Highland Park in Dallas? Did they do something that splashy?
Yeah, I think it works. I think it'll work everywhere. And what it really comes down to is, and I've heard this mentioned on some of your other podcasts, you have to really be good at being you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they can doubt the presentation, the listing presentation. They can doubt the home that they're looking at. They can doubt the figures or the comps or whatever, but they can't doubt who you are. I get listings, I get buyers, I put together presentations and all that, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. What really matters is who's sitting in front, as Steve Harney once said, on the other side of the table, right? It's who's on the other side of the table, how they're connecting with you, the questions they're asking, how they're engaging, and body language and all this. And I mean, I'm telling you, I've gotten more business that way than any presentation I've ever put together. So I think if the agent can just be their true, authentic self and not be afraid to show them who they are and maybe that they have a fault, because we're all human. It brings me back to the movie, Tom. I've thought of this movie so many times in my business career, and it's with Julia Roberts. It's Erin Brockovich.
Yes.
And there's this classic scene. It's in the conference room, and there's two women, and they're both lawyers, and they're in front of all the jury, right, or whoever they're dealing with, the plaintiffs, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, they're all there, and the one woman is very uptight. Her hair's tight, and she's got glasses, and she just can't connect with the people. And Erin comes in, and she fumbles on her heel, and she's chewing gum and drops something, and people just love her because they say she's like me, right? So I think where I get the most traction is really trying to be myself and be as human as I possibly can with whoever I'm dealing with.
I love it. So talk to us about then networking and maybe like marketing, calling, prospecting, whatever you want to call it. Like we all need appointments. So give us your best 2 or 3 plays that you run to attract clients.
Yeah. So the first thing I do is I try, when I was in Hollywood as an assistant, I remember this little saying that I came up with, and it was, I don't know if I came up with it, but anyway, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So right, as a Hollywood assistant, I was already branding myself. I would notice the other guys on desk. Hey, it's Tom in, Joe Epstein's office, right? Hey, it's Bill in blank blank's office, right? And it's like, how many Toms and Bills are there? They come and go. I never answered the phone that way. It was all, hi, it's Mark Hernandez in David Cantor's office, right? In the motion picture department of UTA. So back then, I started this underground email list where I would send out the latest script sales of the day. Think about real estate sales, right? Like email marketing.
Right.
And I wasn't taking them from UTA. There was another site called, guess what? Scriptsales.com.
Right.
So I was just arbitraging that data and getting it out there. And they go, this guy's providing it. Where the parties were that week, all the young people love that, right? And then the UTA job list, which is like everybody wanted to get a job in Hollywood. So I started sending that out, and my email list went from 0 to 3,500 in like 2 years. And every one of those 3,500, I then started following on LinkedIn. That was the thing back then, LinkedIn. Yep. That 3,500 today is now 23,000.
Yes.
And as a result, I'm about to launch a big, just call it a blog on LinkedIn. I want to be the voice of real estate on LinkedIn. So I've got the size of a small, tiny magazine there that I can be talking to on LinkedIn. I also use it to spread context out with, outside of the Hollywood, outside of the California market. And I'm already getting referrals from small boutique agencies that are New York that like me and they don't have an office here, right? So networking online, right? Going to as many events as possible, and put a little bit of the damper of the pandemic on for a bit, but now we're back and going to, parties and art galleries and all of that stuff. Yep. It's great to be out, right? Calling my sphere of influence every day. And that's my number one lead pillar is my database and my social media and my marketing. So, spending 2 hours a day, every day, calling my database, sending them texts as well. And then, those are probably and I've been doing some online marketing. I'm not really sold on it. I think I spent about $100,000 on Zillow last year, and I made a little over $100,000 on it. So it wasn't like huge ROI, but I think it's best to work with who you know anyway. And some of the leads that you get from online, they're not always, the best.
Yes. Well, I love it. So you actually started with like, hey, I did this killer email thing, and then that became a LinkedIn thing, and then I'm creating content on LinkedIn is the way I interpreted that. And thank goodness, Marc, you came back and said, but the number one source is my database, and I call them for 2 hours every single day. Because if they didn't, I would fly to Los Angeles and
punch me in the throat.
I would, because I know you. Like, Tony Alva, there is a grittiness to you that I respect. A lot of the best luxury brokers I know, they just they look the part, they act the part, they know the market. But what makes them extraordinary is they do the work. They do this. They do. I almost said shit. There it is. They do the shit that most people don't want to do. So help us understand, you actually are calling people in your database 2 hours a day and texting people like how many days? Do you have to gear yourself up for it, or do you just wake up in the morning and go, I can't wait to call people?
No, I love to connect with people. I'm a talker, if you haven't figured that out by now.
I got it.
It's I'm kind of, texting is kind of a secondary thing. I think I see a lot of young people saying, I'll just shoot them a text. And I just want to go like this, right? It's like the people that are of power, and I'm not saying I'm of power, but the people like power agents, power brokers, politicians, they're not sending text to anybody. They're calling people, checking in. It's very soft. Yeah. It's, if it's soft, it's, hey, Tom, how have you been? We haven't talked for a while. What's new in your world? How's the family? I, saw some great things about your mother-in-law on social media. She's adorable, by the way. Adorable.
Thank you.
I need to come hang out, at some point. That's awesome. So, and then if it's a little less soft, it's, hey, Tom, great opportunity came up in West Hollywood. There's this condo. I know you're not looking right now, but do you know of anyone that might be interested? I might be able to, send this to, or maybe you could forward it to them. Sure, Marc. Hey, do that. That works a lot.
Yeah. So I love it, man, because it's not old school. It's what is effective. Do you know what I mean? It's not old school. It's like Timmy Smith, who I talked to, or Maxine Gellens, who's, shout out to Maxine at 84 years old. She's like, look, if I just get on the phone and call 3 to 5 people every single day, good things happen in my business. Right? One of the most dominant agents in the high end forever down in La Jolla, California. So let's end with one thought.
And one more thing on that, Tom. One more thing. I'm sorry. One more thing that I do, and my team is starting to do it, and they're calling me, they're going, it works, is just starting conversations with strangers. It's like, right? Like you're going for a walk and all of a sudden there's a dog and, hey, what kind of dog do you have? And hey, where did you get it? I just keep the conversation going.
Right.
Ask as many questions. Next thing, you live here? No, we're just visiting. Oh, where are you from? Hawaii. Great. Well, what brought you here? Well, we're looking for a house. I mean, it happens.
I know.
Real, it's like, but people don't engage. So the more you engage, the more conversations. 40 conversations equals one transaction. I've heard it for 5 years, and it's true.
Yes. I almost started saying nobody walks in LA, but we may be dating ourselves here with our movie references, documentaries.
Missing Persons.
Surf and Skate. Saw them live.
Terry Bozzio.
Oh yeah. So last question for you, Marc, because this has been super fun. But I want to get your perspective. You said earlier, like, hey, what really matters is me face to face, being myself. Like we all have a pitch. We all are going to market a listing a certain way. So if someone was listening to this, they're like, yeah, but Marc, I just don't have that confidence. What are some things I can do to improve my confidence so I win the pitch?
I think, look, what did you say? I think you said confidence is about being prepared. You said something about that once. It's like, if you don't have the confidence, it's because you're underprepared. Right. So, the more you can go to that appointment and show them that you've done your homework, right? That, and I don't care if you have to study that for a week before the presentation. You have to memorize, what the average days on market is, what the average price per foot is, sales price to list price ratios, all of that. But the more they want to hear that information, they want to know that you're an advisor, right? You're not there just to take a tour of their house. So, but the flip side of that is the more you can engage with them on their house, right, and show that you're a fan. Oh my God, look what you did to this bed, to this kitchen, and I love that tile, and was this an add-on? And just keep talking about it. They fall in love with you. They do. So be prepared and really know the neighborhood, know the data, know what's going on in the market. Open it up and say, hey, do you have questions for me? I love to answer questions. They love that too.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys heard it here first. Luxury Co. with Marc Hernandez, the new unofficial but now official king of video in LA.
Oh, nice. Let's
you
go.
Like that? I'm sending that right to your coach partner. Hey, if they want to, if they want to follow you on Instagram, what's the best place for them to find you on the gram or on LinkedIn?
The Marc Hernandez.
The Marc Hernandez. Yes. Yes. Well, thank
you,
my friend.
That was a definite article.
Yes, we appreciate you and all the sharing today, and just wish you nothing but the best going forward. And I'll look forward to seeing you in August, if not sooner.
This is great. Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate this, and I hope to see you soon.
All right, my friend. All right. If you're watching or listening, make sure you hit the subscribe notification button and share this with a friend or two who needs a little boost in confidence and maybe just a little swag like my guy Marc's got. All right. We'll see you guys on the next show. Take care.
Bye, guys.